yeah. Ooh, that's how it always starts.
There's a place in this town where kids learn the wrong things.
Stack of Dimes.
A place where they keep a vicious secret.
Stack of Dimes.
A place controlled by people who profit from pain.
Stack of Dimes.
Now, this town's vicious secret is exposed. There's only one thing to do. Get ready for
Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes.
Stack of Dimes. We are the podcast that just got dropped off to do this podcast by our parents. We have to be home by at least 10.
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock, I think. Well, we're only in
shit.
junior high. We're only in junior high.
Boy, was that your...
No, I didn't have a curfew.
Okay.
I didn't have a curfew. Roden joining in.
Yes.
We were going to do a You Blew It tonight, but we don't feel like watching a whole movie and then rolling.
Well, I got a little late, too.
I got late.
Got a little
I got
late
here
in the
late.
teeth
So
tonight.
that's not happening. No, my parents didn't have a curfew for me.
I had a curfew. I can't remember what it was in junior high because it was so anchored to actually having to have a ride from an adult. Right?
That's why I
Like-
don't think I had one, really.
Yeah.
Because if they dropped
it was
me off
just
somewhere...
de facto.
yeah.
It was a de facto curfew. You had to be home whenever the parents were giving you a ride
Right.
home.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
And I had a couple of, kind of track housing developments near me where I had a lot of friends.
Okay.
Lived there. So if I went over to hang out with Blaine Beecham
Yeah.
or anybody who lived in these kind of housing developments, my parents were like, I know where he's at. He's over there.
Yeah, he's over at,
Running
he's
around
over
that
at Blaine's.
neighborhood. Yeah, he's over at Blaine's. He took his bike over there.
Yeah.
And he'll be home at some point.
Yeah.
Man, it was the other thing. It was also dictated on...
JD's parents will send him home on a jet ski.
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
At this point, they were not living on the lake.
Ah.
He was living through the woods directly where I lived. His road dead end on the other side of the woods.
Got it.
So I could. It was a little tricky, but I was a straight shot from my house. But you had to go through. It's kind of a marshy area, but you had to go up and around that, and then you had to go through like a field with barbed wire. So you had to figure out like.
Did you do that in the dark?
I did it in the dark once. It was not fun.
Was it fucking terrifying?
It was pretty scary.
Yeah.
The woods that I had behind my house, if you kept going far enough back, it took you to the place called the Heights.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That sounds like where people die.
So the Heights, probably people died there. But it was, how and this is terrible to say, but we had the Heights and we had, maybe that wasn't the Heights. The Frontier Heights was up by the Safeway, and this was some apartment, like massive apartment complex area. But then if you go through my woods and shit got scary the closer you got to that place.
Yeah.
Not to say I don't want to disparage anybody who lived there, but there was a certain type that lived in that massive apartment complex area that ended through my woods. And yeah, shit got dicey once you got over there. There were some weird kids who had forts. They would shoot at you with BB guns. It was like fucked up.
Oh boy.
A lot of older kids up there.
A lot of white people with missing teeth.
Lots of missing teeth. Lots of kids
Yeah.
smoking at a really young age.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Yeah.
So, and the thing was like my house was on the furthest east of these woods that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you went west, like you're heading walk through them towards Everett, you were getting closer to like Frontier Village and where all of our like movie rental places and shit. If you went through the woods. So if you went south, you went to a housing development. And then if you went north, it was where JD lived.
Sure.
And so, but that was pretty dark and there wasn't a lot of trails getting over to JD's.
Yeah.
So that shit was pretty scary at night.
See, we didn't have that. We didn't have that in my hometown, right? It's a pretty tight knit community, right? A lot of hippies still live there when I was growing up, but it was very quiet, right? Like super quiet. It's like the thing you see in all of the Stephen King books, right? It's like that kind of town.
Got it.
Like some sort of Cape Cod kind of feel to it. Some sort of like deep-seated fucking evil going on in the woods, back in the woods, you know?
That sounds great.
The place we used to call the fuck house, you know? The abandoned house back in the woods.
Yeah.
A lot of people died there, man. A lot of people died. A
fuck
lot of
house.
stories. A lot of stories.
And when they died, they
Satan
left.
worshiping. I mean, these were the decade of the
Satan worshippers?
Satan satanic panic.
Yeah.
You know? And if you were ever in the woods at night, like, you know, trying to get home, you know, taking a shortcut,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
sun went down. Ooh, boy.
Scary stuff, huh?
That's some scary shit. That's some
Yeah,
scary
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, if I was
A lot of
coming
little
from...
cracking twigs that happen around you.
Ooh.
Just from like animals
Yeah.
walking around and stuff like that can really freak you out.
So if I was at Blaine's, there was a shortcut I could go through this neighborhood that's next door to his neighborhood, and there was a dead end. You know how, you know, developments would be like, we're going to build more houses here in the future, and the road would just end. And it ended at our trees or whatever, the woods that we had.
Sure.
So if I went that way, it was a pretty quick walk. Look, for what? Let me put it to you this way. If I didn't ride my bike, like sometimes I would be like, I'm just going to walk over there. I go through the woods, but the conundrum was I didn't think ahead. And when I walked to the woods, it was daylight.
Yeah.
And now it's night. And I got to come back that way or take the long way, like you're saying.
Right.
But coming back through that way, it was very quick and all down hills.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if you went JD's way, no.
So
And there's not, and it just wasn't as familiar with that area because I didn't go and play over there. We had a fort up in the other area.
Uh-huh.
Where we hid some porno mags.
Uh-huh. They ever
Yeah.
get wet?
Oh,
You gotta rip the pages apart and stuff. Maybe stick them in the microwave or something
I
like that.
would never take them to the microwave.
Try to dry them out a little
but that's a
bit.
brilliant idea. Yeah, no, they would freeze.
Scott Trube did it. We found a bunch in the attic of the F house back in the
Yeah.
woods. And
I love now that you're calling it the F house now.
I know why.
You called it a fuck house earlier. Now you're
I already
calling it
broke
F
the
house.
seal.
Yeah,
right?
you already did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those magazines got torn apart. Like the news got out right at one point, and the magazines just got torn apart, and they were strewn all over the woods and stuff. And we all went down there in a group one day after school. We got off the bus, and some kids had gotten to it before. Some younger kids had gotten to it before we did.
Oh man.
And boy, did we try to salvage every little piece
page,
that we
yeah.
could. And Scott Trube took it home and put it in the microwave. He said it worked, but we never saw those pages ever again. So
It worked,
who knows?
But
Yeah.
I'm keeping them for myself.
The funny thing is that me and my brother were talking about this with my dad last weekend, and you know, we both like I revealed where my stash location was. Like I put it in a plastic baggie along with some cigarettes.
Like
And-
in this fort or
No, across the street from our house.
Oh, okay.
The abandoned house, the fuck house,
Yes.
was way up in town. We lived a little ways away from it,
Okay.
like a mile away or something like that.
Okay, so
and so my hiding spot was I put all my paraphernalia, including the found porno, the woods porno, in a plastic bag, and I buried it across the street from our driveway, which was wooded as well. And my brother was like, "That's where my stash spot was too." So we had little stashes of paraphernalia that were buried there, and they were dug up by somebody who built a house there about like 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if they actually found it, but they were, they put a house there, and so they ripped apart that place, and my stash was still there.
Huh.
I know it was, but yeah.
I think I've talked about this with JD on the show, and this has been a long time though. Probably the first 2 years of this show.
Yeah.
But I've said how it was very difficult to build a fort until you found porno. And I think some stand-up comedians talk about this all the time now. But I swear to you.
Why? What's the reason? What do you mean by that?
Well, because it was always like whenever I would get my friends together and we'd be like, oh man, let's build a fort. And you
get tired of it.
You start doing it. You're like, whoa, this isn't fun. I just want the fort. I don't want the process of building it.
Yeah.
But when we had porno mags, we were like, fuck, where are we going to hide these? And we're like, let's build a fort. And it was like goddamn, Snow White.
You all turned into fucking
hi ho,
architects and-
hi ho. It's off to work.
and
We go.
engineers.
And I'm like, and what we did was the one fort that we actually managed to make.
Purpose. It gives you purpose.
It gave us purpose.
Yeah.
And in our woods, it was like basically behind our house, it was a hill that was in the trees, and then you had to go climb up the hill, and then it leveled off, and that's where all other developments were and all that shit. So what we did was there was a stump a tree had been logged. I don't know how many years ago before us.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big stump. We dug the hill out around the stump.
Oh, that's a great
and then
idea.
just leaned to branches all the way around it. So
sure.
If you walked up on it, you wouldn't really see it. Yeah, it was kind of into the hill.
Very camouflaged.
Yeah. And we made a couch out of some plywood. We dug that out of the hill as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we just put the plywood in there, and like not comfortable at all. But it was a nice little dude. It was really nice. And then what we took was this is classic too, to find like abandoned appliances up in the woods.
Yeah.
So we found someone had a fridge up there, and in the fridge was, do you remember, I don't know, in the 80s, where they in the drawer or the door of the fridge, they'd have a place where you could put your eggs?
Yes.
Do you remember this shit?
That was such a useless utility of those, because obviously people are going to accidentally slam the door of the fridge. Right?
And, just have
and those
exposed
fucking eggs
there.
would just pop right out of there and fall down.
Eggs come in a carton.
Yes.
I mean, what
you already have something that
holds
takes the
them
place
very
of
well,
that.
yeah.
And those stupid little egg cups, those little egg holders in the door, were like so shallow.
Yes.
That an egg would fall over in it just by setting it in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Dumb. Super. So anyways, we pulled this
wasted
out,
space.
We pulled this out of the door of this abandoned refrigerator.
Sure.
And it was I think it must have been, it was enough for a dozen eggs, and there were fucking divots in this plastic tray.
Yeah.
But if you pulled it out of the door and you flipped it upside down, it was basically like all empty underneath. So it was a nice little like cubby hole.
Okay.
So what we did was we rolled up the porno mag, threw it in this thing that's basically like a box at this point, a plastic box,
yeah.
and then flip that upside down and cover it with branches behind the little couch we made.
Yeah.
So if any water, terrible. It's like,
Was it
it's
exposed to
covered.
dirt?
Oh, totally was.
Okay.
Totally
So it
was
didn't-
underneath.
I mean, this was
Terrible.
not, you guys didn't really think this through.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And so we had this, and I could tell you exactly what this porno mag was. Rotten Randy took it from his older brother, Crustacean Chris, who had a pile of regular like Sports Illustrated. But if
Okay.
you got 20 deep, low at the bottom, there's a bunch of porno mags.
Right.
And so Rotten Randy
course.
went and took one of those from the bottom.
Yeah.
And he figured like maybe he's
Never going to notice.
never going to notice, and maybe he'll blame it on the other brother, Wretched Ronnie. And so what we did was, and
I love that. I think I've said this before, but like so many of the kids from your childhood were just garbage pail kids.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Rotten Randy used to poop his pants instead of going home. Because if he went
Poor
home,
Randy.
his parents would make him stay home. So he's like, I'll just poop my pants so I can stay out and play longer.
Oh my God.
Not a bad idea, although no one wants to play with you because now you just have your smushing poop in your pants and you just smell really
You
bad.
just stink.
Yeah. Good kid, though. He was a really good kid.
Oh my God.
But so he got this from Crustacean Chris, and what it was it was a Hustler,
Oh.
but it was a Hustler movie review. Special edition. So the whole thing was like 3 or 4 page porno movie reviews.
Right.
So
with one picture.
it's like 3 or 4 pictures, so you didn't get any sort of.
Yeah.
They had one big
That's
main.
so funny.
They had one big main attraction in the middle that was like, we're doing a expose piece on this movie that's coming out but isn't out yet, and so then it had like a centerfold.
Oh my God.
And it was like, but to your point, we rolled it up, put it in this thing, flipped it upside down. Well, of course, frost comes,
Yeah.
rain soaking, fucking worms. God, who knows? I go out there one time in the winter
Yeah.
Flip it over, and it's just frozen solid. Just waterlogged and frozen solid. And the things that always made me laugh about that too is when you got it, it was full color. But it just faded to like basic like pink
just completely
like
faded out.
light green.
Oh my
or
god.
something.
Oh my god.
And to your point as well, is like the young kids found out about your stat or whatever you guys were talking about.
Yeah.
This is how you know conspiracies in movies and shit just would not work. You talk about shit in the government, how many people know about it, and they got to keep it secret.
Yeah.
We literally had like 4 people who knew about this.
Right.
Rotten Randy, my younger brother, Blaine, me, and JD probably. He probably got to come up and see it. It was like 5 people that
Right.
really knew about this thing.
Couldn't keep it a secret.
Couldn't keep it a secret.
No.
So then anybody else who came over to hang out, who was outside of that circle, would be like, "Yo, man, I heard you got a porno up in the fort here." Like,
Oh, yeah.
God damn it! What? How do you know this? Like, can I go see it, man? It's like, I don't. Who told you? No, I don't have. Come on, dude. Let's just go up there. All right. So you go up there and you show them. So who knows how many people knew this? And
Sure.
so, I'd start getting older, forgot about it, sort of thing, and it was like maybe a summer later, 2 summers later, like, God, I wonder what happened to that. I go up to this area where we had this fort, and now all of the branches and shit, all the needles have fallen
Just
off.
collapsed
Totally
in on
collapsed.
itself and stuff. Yeah.
And someone had gotten in. I don't know if it was an animal or what, but something had overturned the egg catcher.
Oh, it was a child.
It was a child, and grabbed the mag
was a
and
human
just tore
child.
it to shreds. And so when
Yeah.
I got up to the fort, there were just porno mag pages scattered in all around this area.
Oh,
And
yeah.
my dad's down mowing the lawn, and I'm just terrified. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna come up. So I'm like collecting all of these and at this point, I'm just terrified of someone finding it and me associated with it.
Yeah,
So I had
yeah.
to collect up all of these pages. I just wadded them up, and we had another stump that was empty in the middle. It had rotted out, and I just went
Yeah.
and threw it down into that abyss.
Oh, that's so funny.
And that's how the Hustler movie review magazine ended. That's where it lies to this day.
There was a lot of adult magazines in the woods in my
All the
hometown.
time, man.
Just everywhere. Just littered all over the place. And we did find one time, the whole reason this conversation came up like last weekend with my dad and my brother is that so my brother and his friend Ian found this like stash of, it was somebody who had broken into this place called Peninsula Video. It was a video store in Kingston. Right?
You've
And,
told this one a million times on the
have I
show.
told this one already?
I swear you have.
So
Because you found this thing that had all these like
it was all the clamshells
Yeah,
for the movies
from-
and
from-
stuff,
from
and
this
then like a
video
Sega
store.
Genesis
Yeah,
like
yep,
shell,
yeah,
you know,
you've
that
told
was
this.
like you could rent the Sega or
Yep,
something like
yep,
that.
you could rent
so
the
anyway,
Genesis,
so since I've told this story, like, you know, they found there was one movie left,
Yeah.
right? And they brought it home and they were like, let's watch it. And we watch it. And it was like this hardcore porn. And there was a scene where there was
The ice
toy made of ice that these two women were using on each other. And then so Mairead and I just the other, like a couple weeks ago, we were watching this documentary on Netflix about Pornhub. And there was this woman at the very beginning of the video talking about how her like sexual world was opened up by this movie she saw with these two women using an ice dildo. And I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Like this movie made it from our hometown all the way out to like Bremerton, like all the way around Kitsap. Like I would run into people in college that I kind of loosely knew, and the subject would come up and they'd be like, yeah, I had that. I got that from my cousin Tony.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, just like it made it all around the fucking county. It was crazy.
It's a viral video. back
Viral
then.
before viral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
It's funny how I don't know how we got to this because we were going to talk about my opening was being dropped off from things from your parents. Because
I know. I'm so sorry. We completely derailed
No,
ourselves.
it's
on this
fine,
one.
but like now it feels weird if we talk about how your kids just got back from like
Roller skating
and
at the middle school?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
whole point of this was to share like those stories. Then we went into porno. Good Lord. What a goddamn problem we are when we do this.
Love this show.
Yeah.
Love this show. Well,
yeah.
I gave you a great segue.
What's that?
Ended with Bremerton. That's where I used to go skating.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that every, and it's not the case anymore, but every town had some sort of skate rink around, right? Like a bowling alley and a skate rink. That's what you did before you were of age, right? Like
Sure.
you go bowling.
I seem to remember it was like every Friday night. Like once we got to junior high, and this may correct me if this wasn't the case for you, but it was like once you got to junior high, shit changed quite a bit, right?
It did,
and
yeah.
it was like all of a sudden this whole world was opened up because now you're going to school with a bunch of kids you did not know
Yep.
in junior high. And they may have been from a little bit bigger town, maybe
Yep.
closer to like
Yep.
actual fun things.
And
they would
told
do
you
this
about
thing.
these fun things, and
Right.
you'd be like, "Oh, I got to go to that."
And there'd be just like, it would be a gathering of the juggalos
Yes.
at Skateland on Wheaton Way in Bremerton,
Yeah.
On a Friday night. And it was like, okay, well, that's what we do now. Perfect. I didn't know how to fucking skate. I remember going there for the first time just being like, holy shit, like this is
Overwhelming.
Like, this is real, man.
Yeah, and it seemed massive.
Massive.
It was like, and it was just like,
And it's
look at all
dark.
these people that are out there skating, and it's like, well, I can't get out there. This
It
is
was,
crazy.
dude, it was so anxiety inducing. I think
Totally.
I still remember the first time walking in there going, what do I do? Like, I think, I'm pretty sure my mom took me there with a couple of friends, but it was pretty much the first time I had ever gone. My poor mom, too. Like, this place was so far away from our house. Like, what the fuck did she do for 2 hours?
Right? She didn't hop on her iPad and
No.
no. There's none of
No.
that. She
Would
probably
she bring
brought
a
a book. Did we just say that together?
Yeah.
yeah. My mom always had some like paperback.
That's
book
true. Yeah.
in her like purse,
or she would go. I mean, Bremerton was super out of the way, so she would probably just go shopping or something like that. If she dropped,
She probably
us
got
off.
wasted at a bar, and you kids piled in the car, and she drove you home
Just, like,
drunk.
drove us home drunk.
No,
in the
of
in the
course
fucking
not.
Crown Vic station wagon with a V8. Yeah, but it was such a strange cultural shift to start doing that kind of thing because it felt like something out of a movie,
Yeah, and you also had talking about when you get to junior high and all these new people come in because it's like
junior high or middle school.
middle
right?
school. Yeah, we called it middle school.
We called it junior high over. Yeah.
But you had the cool clique from your elementary school, and then it was like
That's dissolved.
yeah, that's
At that point.
dissolved
Like that,
dude.
That's no more.
Yeah, because the other cliques from the other schools come
Yeah,
in.
sure.
So we had 3 elementary schools that would go into this one junior high, middle school, and so you had the cool people from all 3 of these then getting it out together and battling out as the new supreme cool
Right.
clique of
Yeah.
this one congealed school or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you like, and so. It was weird. It was really weird because you'd end up hearing names of people like, yeah, so and so's got a party, and you're like, who's so and so, dude?
Right.
And it was like, oh, he went to Pilchuck. And you're like, oh,
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
this guy?
Yeah. But it was always the people that I think kind of integrated most quickly and the best into that situation were the people that played sports.
Oh, for sure.
Because they were all on like little league teams for soccer
Yep.
and baseball and stuff, and they were already meeting all those fucking kids.
And that's why
Right.
I was at a disadvantage.
And I was completely disadvantaged in that.
Because I'd played none of that.
I had no idea who anybody was, and it was the same story when I got to high school too. And like
I did it 1 year in 6th grade. I played basketball, and I got to know a few other kids from other schools, but I was at a total disadvantage because people had been playing peewee sports with the other kids from other schools since they were like 5 or 6 or something. And it was terrible.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, it was kind of a strange thing. I mean, like back to the skate rink.
Yeah.
Like you'd walk in, crazy carpet, right?
Yes.
All the lights, the music is just blasting, and it's like it's dark, and all of a sudden you just like run into somebody you know, and they're like, "Oh, hey, you made it. Let's go get your shoes and stuff. Let's go get your skates." Or do you have your own skates?
Oh my God.
Or it's like Timothy Timberlake coming up to me and going, and with his rollerblades like hanging from his shoulder. You know, like
Did they
the
allow
first
rollerblades
iteration
there?
of rollerblades.
Did they
hanging
allow
from
that?
his
They
shoulder.
allowed them at the skate
I
park.
believe they did. Yeah.
Because all the places I went to, I do not think they'd let you bring your own, especially rollerblades in.
Really?
Maybe your own skates.
I could be misremembering that because I do, like, now that you say that, that does ring a bell. But I think that was only for, gosh darn it. I think that was only for when we did like a skating thing at the actual school.
Because I
But
think what they worried
yeah, I
about
can't
was like
remember.
if you had blades, you were out in the streets and your tires would
Your
get,
tires would like do something to
and
the
get gravel
floorboards.
embedded in them and shit like that. They don't want them coming out
Maybe.
on their floors and tearing them up and shit like
Yeah,
that. Plus, they want your money to rent the fucking
Oh,
skate.
of course. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I do remember like Tim had his own. It was either his own skates or his own rollerblades. I just thought he was the coolest fucking kid on the planet. Like wore baggy
happened to him, do you
clothes,
think?
you know. Oh, he lives in my hometown now.
He's still there.
Yeah, he did not grow up there, but he moved there, and so I see
He's
him.
doing fine.
I see him
He
all-
didn't like
every
OD
summer.
or anything.
Yeah, nice guy.
Good for him.
Yeah, yeah.
We had like we had various like it was either skating or bowling that we'd be doing, and we had Strawberry Lanes in Marysville.
Okay.
We had the skate deck in Everett, which was like that was the place to go and skate. But if you went any further, you also had in Linwood, you had like the Linwood Rollaway or something like that. And
Okay.
and that had skating and bowling.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's
then you had-
impressive. That's a huge building.
Then you had Whirly Ball out on Aurora in Linwood. if you
Man,
went
I
towards
still want to
Shoreline.
this day. I still want to go. It's still there.
I've never done it. It's
never
still there.
done it.
I've
It looks
never done
fucking
it.
amazing.
You're in
We
bumper
should go.
car.
We should go do that.
We
sometime.
tried a few years back, like a few years back. Probably
Well, there's
10,
like a league.
like 10 to 15 years ago, we tried to get everybody together.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain amount of people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if
Oh, we could get people.
everyone always says they'll do it until it comes time, and you have to have enough. I don't think they'll
Yeah,
let
yeah.
you do it if you don't have enough
Really?
people. But for those of you who don't know what Whirly Ball is, you drive bumper cars.
It's like polo with bumper cars.
Yeah, you have bumper cars, and you have those track ball is what you have in your hand. Track. Does anybody even know what track ball is at this fucking point?
Actually, I don't think I know what trackball is.
Trackball was that like hollow wiffle ball plastic ball that you had.
Yeah.
That was in. You had this thing with a handle.
Oh, that's
and
what
had
it
a
is. I thought
scoop.
you were like doing it like polo, where you're like
No.
pushing it with a stick across the floor.
You have a trackball, and they call it trackball because in that, what would you call that? It's
the swoop kind of yeah. Jesus
what do you
Christ,
call
what
that?
do you call
But
that?
that in there is a track, and
Right,
so when
right.
you throw the ball, it curves.
Yeah,
it goes along
it's
the track.
It's a scooped thrower.
Yeah, it's like
As-
like a handle with a scooped mitt on the end.
yeah.
like-
Hard plastic.
Hard plastic, and the ball that's in it's hard plastic as well. And
Right.
it's like a wiffle ball with no holes. And so when you
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
it, you whip it, and it curves. So you have those. You drive. I don't even think you have a steering wheel. I think you have like a joystick.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And you drive the bumper cars, and on each end of the court, there's a plywood, like it's almost like a.
You have to hit that. That's like the goal.
Yeah, but it's like the back of a basketball hoop. What is the backboard?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a backboard with a hole in the middle, and it's got a net behind it, and you're trying to throw the trackball into that hole.
Holy shit.
And the hole's, I think, fairly big. It's like
Okay.
compared to the ball.
Yeah.
And that's what. Yeah.
Well, isn't the cart that you're in? It only has like it has two wheels in the back and one in the front.
Don't know. I've never done it.
It's not like a bumper car. Well, I guess it is more like a bumper car in
It
that
is.
respect because it doesn't steer like an actual car.
And
Like,
you've
it's
got and you've got all
it's
that.
whirly.
You've got that rubber around it, so you can
Yeah.
run into
Right,
each other and stuff.
right.
I've never done it. I had friends that would go have birthday parties there.
Yeah.
They had like they had like a kitchen. You had cook pizza, and then you'd have enough kids to where you'd rotate through. Like, we've got next game. And I think it was like 5-on-5 or 4-on-4. I can't remember what.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah,
But you guys would do that kind of shit too?
I never
in, like,
got to
middle
do
school?
it. I never got to do it, but I had friends that would go out and
Dang,
we're
man.
doing whirly ball, man.
See, we only had we had Skateland, we had All-Star Lanes. That was about it.
You got to realize, like, we're like, again, where
And
I
then
was.
we had the arcade and stuff like that, you know, in Silverdale. But everything was so far away from where I lived.
That's what I was going to say. You got to
Like, it
realize,
was just so far away.
Lake Stevens is 10 minutes outside of Everett.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got, like, again, you've got Monroe, Snohomish, Marysville, all
Sure,
around there that had their own bowling alleys and all that shit.
Yeah, little towns in Kitsap, man, they were pretty far removed from any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody found meth. At one point,
Right.
You know.
Because then you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
just stay there.
No,
and
you
have-
just stay there and fix the
party.
fucking hacky sack that got busted and you don't even know how to sew. So you're going to teach yourself for the next 6 hours how to do that.
The first time I went skating was when I lived in Winlock, Washington. We had to go to Longview, was the closest skate rink, and I don't know what it was called. Then I was pretty young.
Yeah.
And kind of close, probably close to where Luke lives now.
Yeah.
And it was
that's
right off of I-5. You could see it. And I remember the song at the time that was big was Let's Hear It for the Boy. Let's hear it for my baby. Like, what was that from? That's from Dirty Dancing? Is that, what it's from?
that Dirty Dancing? I don't know.
Footloose. It's from Footloose.
Oh, Footloose.
It's
Okay.
when Chris Penn's when Kevin Bacon's learning to dance in Footloose.
I have never seen that movie.
Oh, really? You know
Never
the
seen
song
it.
"Let's Hear It for the Boy"?
Yeah.
So that song was very popular. So whatever year that was, and then Michael Jackson's "Thriller" was really popular.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let me ask you this: did you have a practice area for the young kids at the skate rink that you?
No.
So
No.
this one had the big skate area,
Yeah.
and then they had a cordoned off little like corner of
Man, that building must have been huge.
it. In my mind, it's massive. It may
Yeah.
have been the Kingdom in my mind. Like that's how big it was.
Right,
So
right.
you had the actual rink out there. It was always like what oblong, like for us, it was always like a racetrack.
Yes, almost, but it's still. I mean, it was. You could still skate in the middle.
In the
of
middle,
it,
yeah.
Too.
You could skate in the middle. The middle was open, but everyone agreed to go in one direction on the outside.
You had to.
Yeah. And then some people would maybe go a little ways in and do some tricks and shit like that. Or
yeah.
they have special skates where you could go into the middle and all that
Right.
shit. So, but then usually on one side of that track was like the area where you put your shoes on. There was like benches, and there was like like maybe a place to pick up like fast food. And there's an arcade maybe in one corner over there.
Yep,
Right
yep.
where you came in. It's
Had an
like-
arcade.
Yeah.
Skateland had an arcade and a little pizza and hot dog.
Yep.
Stop right there and stuff.
So
yeah.
this one had one end there, and then the other end they took a corner, and they for the young kids you could practice if you didn't know how to skate.
Oh,
and it
that's
was
pretty cool.
probably about as big as this room we're in right now, like half of it.
Yeah.
And it was carpeted. So
Right.
if you fell, but it was that really short carpet, you know, like that
yeah.
little.
So you could still kind of move with skates
You could
on
move
it,
with skates on it,
but it
was
wouldn't
slower.
hurt if
It
you-
wasn't as slick.
it was
and
very padded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had rails, so you'd hold on to it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you would learn in that area.
Now, was the skate park that you went to? Was it like the one that I went to? It had like kind of like a sideline where you could like watch people skate or take a break.
Yes.
You know, it had benches on one side.
You mean
but on
like
the other side? It would
actually
just
on
go
the-
all the way up to the wall. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
It only had one side of it was open to kind of hang out
Yes.
and like, you know, just kind of post up on the railing and watch people skate
Yep.
and stuff like that. Like,
Absolutely.
you know, so now that I think back on Skateland, like the building itself from the outside looked massive.
It really-
like,
I
just
know exactly.
like a huge barn.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And like the biggest barn you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then you'd get inside, and it was quite a bit. It felt quite a bit smaller and more contained.
Right.
But yeah, dude, a lot of great memories in that place.
Yeah.
Like I think actually, now that I think about it too, I think we were going there in 6th grade. Like I think 6th grade might have been the start of going to Skateland on either a Friday or a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And that became like a huge thing,
Yeah, I don't
for that age.
I don't remember it being like a consistent thing when I was
Really?
a kid. Yeah.
I think mine was fairly consistent. It wasn't like it was every weekend, but there was like every other weekend I would get taken to that place if there was a big group going,
After I learned how to do it in what did I fucking say, Longview, at this place, went in the learning area, then eventually went out in the, to go back to it was, I was getting the hang of it finally, but I was still too intimidated to go out on the main floor. Oh my God,
it's so embarrassing too.
And then Thriller came on, and I was like, "This is my song. I got to go out." So I was like, I'm going to do it. I think I got it down. And I go out, and I'm just terrible, but I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing it." And like you said, the area where you could hang out or whatever, my parents were sitting in like a booth there.
Oh God.
And like, you know how the booths where you could go right up against the wall, and then the skaters were on the other side of the wall.
Right.
So my dad hung his arm over and like gave me a high five as I came by, and I went high five him and just wiped out on my ass. But I was so pumped.
Dude.
I got right back. I was like, this is awesome. And so when we came up, we moved up to Lake Stevens. Like I told you, we have all these places around. It was a lot bigger. We didn't go that much, and it was skate deck and Everett. And the only time you went was like usually if it was like so-and-so's birthday, we're all going to
special
skate
occasion
deck.
kind of thing. Yeah.
And you could buy plastic roses with a AA battery in them that lit up.
Of course you could.
So one of the times in middle school when we all went, like, I can't remember who, it was like me and Blaine. I don't know. There's like 5 or 6 of us that went. And what was funny is usually all my friends were dudes back then, especially. You go there and the group of the girls from your school were there too. So we went and bought roses for him, dude.
Oh my God.
Gave it to him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, my first girlfriend in junior high, her name was Ray.
Oh, you had a girlfriend in junior high?
I did.
Well,
her name was Rayanne.
That's pretty amazing because
she was absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and was up until her untimely death a couple years back. But just real nice girl, and just a wonderful person. From what it sounds like, I kind of lost touch with her after high school, but she we were an item in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And we met up at the skate rink and stuff. And I was never a good skater. Like I was not good at it.
Yeah, I could manage to do. I was the same as you.
I couldn't do tricks. I could just barely do it. Right. And even when like I do remember like whenever they turn, I just dreaded the moment that they would turn on the disco ball.
Oh, you didn't like that?
Because any time that little fucking flash would hit the little bright spot around all the rest of the darkness around the boards, for lack of a better term, the skate area.
Oh,
right?
The floor.
Yeah.
You have these moving balls of light.
You got these moving balls of light, and it would fuck me up. And I would just trip over myself.
Yeah.
Because it would fuck my vision up so bad that I couldn't tell like where I don't even know what was going on. Like I was just so up in my head about
disoriented
it.
and
completely disoriented. I'd fucking fall over and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so me and Rayanne were like skating around during one of the slow songs. You know, we're holding hands. My hands just sweaty as hell.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I, at one point, like I was just like, I gotta go sit down. My feet hurt and stuff like that. And so I'm sitting
Did you get
down,
hot feet back then?
Oh
too?
yeah, big time.
Because you're plagued with hot feet as an adult.
I've had hot feet syndrome since I was a child.
Okay, so you get these funky ass skates on, and you're moving around, and your hot feet are cooking, man.
Thick ass leather.
Yeah,
with steel and hard plastic around them.
Yes.
I mean, it was awful. It was a nightmare. And so I go sit down, and this guy Mike comes up and asks Rayanne to
slow skate
with him.
Oh fuck. How was Mike? Did you know him?
Did not know Mike. He was a year older than us.
Oh Jesus.
And then Mike and Rayanne had a child.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How many years later was that?
That was in high school.
Jesus Christ. And that was it. So that's how it ended?
That's how it ended.
She said yes. Yeah, Mike, I'm going to.
Yep.
She's like, this guy's got hot feet, sweaty hands. Fuck him.
Mike stole my girl, bro.
Wow.
Stole my girl.
man.
Yep.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a down. I don't want to end the show on that. That's a fucking downer.
Luckily, I found my own girl later in life, and now have my own. children. Yeah.
You won that. You won that.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. I'll leave it at this. Do you remember when you got? I don't know. You got into high school. You got your driver's license. You're 16 at this point.
Oh yeah.
And you're in that no man's land of what the fuck do we do now?
Yes.
I'm 16. I've got a car. We can drive anywhere. The only thing we could really do is go to the mall or go and watch a movie. But you go, well, we could do like I did when I was a kid. We could go to the roller rink, and you quickly realize I'm too old for that.
Too old for that. You can't do that anymore.
So, but I can,
even though it sounds fun, you cannot let on that it sounds fun.
Nope. You go in and you instantly realize,
nope.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
So you can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And you also try and do the bowling thing, which is not the problem with bowling is it isn't very social. So like,
it's not that cool either.
It's not that
depending
cool.
on where you're at.
Yeah, and you get
what clique you're in.
You get bored very quickly.
Right.
You show up. It's just your group of friends that are there. You're stuck on a lane. It's not like you can go meet other people. Maybe if you're lucky, there's some ladies who have a lane next to you. But it's that weird no man's land age when you want to go out and do things, but there's just at that point there's really nothing to do.
Well, or you do what a young Roden does.
Yeah.
And you get high by yourself and go out and just, drive the strip, see if anybody's around. Don't find anybody there, so you drive all the way 45 minutes to Silverdale, and you just go to the Barnes & Noble, and you sit in a chair in the corner and just read the latest copy of Star Wars Insider.
That's not a bad night.
I used to do that fucking constantly. Yeah. Or go to like movies by myself.
We didn't have a Barnes & Noble back then. We had
Barnes & Noble was like high school age. Barnes & Noble moved in right next to the Magnolia Hi-Fi. I think it was right next to the Magnolia Hi-Fi.
We had shitty bookstores at the Everett Mall. If you went there, it was like Walden Books. Shit like that.
I would just grab a stat. I would get fucking ripped stoned. Drive into. It became one of my favorite things to do.
Sounds like a good idea.
All by myself.
Ripped stoned and drive.
Yes. Yeah. It was terrible. Obviously terrible.
Yeah.
And drive into Barnes & Noble, into Silverdale, go to Barnes & Noble, grab a stack of magazines that I couldn't afford, and just fucking look at magazines.
Yeah, sounds like a great day. Yeah. I like when we I would say like when I was working downtown Seattle and there was that Barnes & Noble at Pacific Place, the amount of time I spent in there, because it was like, well, I'm downtown, my shift doesn't start for another hour.
Yeah.
You go to Barnes & Noble, you grab all the magazines you can.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
fucking Fangoria, Star Wars Insider, Guitar Player magazine.
Mine was a bit different.
Mad,
Mine would be some sort of filmmakers bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Black Belt magazine, Inside Kung Fu, The Ring. That was some sort of EGM video game magazine would be I'd be going for that too. Yeah, like Die Hard video games.
One night I was sitting there, right? And I see Brian Morgan, one of my closest friends in the world, walks through the door, and he comes in.
Did you go hide?
Goes into the bathroom, and he comes back out and he sees me, and he goes, "Hey, man!" And I was like, "What's going on, dude? What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Dude, I just spun out my Mustang. It's stuck off the on ramp onto whatever highway it was getting back to Paulsbo."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Oh shit!" And he goes, "What's wrong with your eyes?" And I'm like, "Oh no." And I run into the bathroom and I look in the mirror and my eyes are red as tomatoes.
Oh my God.
Like I had been sitting there for 2 hours.
Oh my God.
My eyes red as tomatoes.
Oh, I thought you were just fucking high.
Just fucking ripped. Just fucking ripped. And then I had to help Brian. I had to drive him all the way back to Indianola to get his dad to come tow his car and pull it out of the mud.
Crazy.
Off the on-ramp to the highway. Anyway.
There you go.
There you go.
To bring this around where we started, with pornography magazines, do you think there's a single porno mag in production today?
It's got to be.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah. And I'm trying to think if I've seen them any time recently within the last couple years, maybe in a. I'm trying to think if I've even seen a magazine rack in like a convenience store or anything like that.
No way. I don't know the last time. I don't know the last time I saw a magazine rack in anything other than a Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
Or at the airport.
I don't know.
And they don't sell porno mags at the airport.
No.
But I mean,
that'd be a weird thing to be selling at the airport.
I mean, I just don't. I'm pretty certain that Playboy isn't made anymore.
Yeah.
Penthouse isn't made anymore.
There's probably some of those weird, like
I don't think Hustler's made
weird,
anymore.
hardcore shit like Hawk.
I don't think any of that is made anymore.
Around.
No way. I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, how could they stay in business?
Well,
I
guess I haven't seen.
How could they stay in business? Honestly.
Yeah. You just can't.
I mean, where
they got moving pictures now.
They got the fucking internet. Like what? It's crazy. I was just thinking of, just as like, yeah, what a weird, coveting magazines when we were kids in the woods.
Yeah.
What a weird thing. They hardly even exist today.
And what a great
And I don't mean just porno mags. I mean magazines in general.
Right.
Like
right.
Entertainment Weekly just wrapped up like last year or something.
Yeah. I know you can still get you can still get subscriptions to certain magazines too. Like I know that Guitar World, Guitar Player, stuff like that still are in print.
Well, I was a guy who had Ring magazine for the longest time. The Bible of Boxing. It's 100 years old, or more older than 100 years old. The Ring magazine, and so they just wrapped up, I think, last year. So I had a subscription to that, and they canceled it. So
really,
yeah. So now it's only online. So.
Did it get canceled in the middle of your subscription?
Oh yeah.
So did they refund any of your money?
No, they're just like, hey, you have a digital subscription as part of your subscription.
Okay, so they changed it. Like they're still producing some sort of content.
They are.
It's just online.
And what was funny about that too is they just had this big boxing match that happened like 2 months back. The one that I went to instead of TBTL's 4,000th episode, and Luke wasn't too happy about it. But this big boxing match, Spence versus Crawford, and I go to get the mail out of the mailbox, and I've got a Ring magazine. I was like, where the fuck? What is this? Was this stuck somewhere in the last few months? But they do one-off special editions now.
Oh, okay. So you'll still get them.
And I still get those.
That's kind of cool.
So, but other than that, it's like a digital subscription.
Yeah.
And they do a digital magazine. So you can go to their website and get like regular news and shit, but there's special digital magazine portion of the website.
Well, that's great information for everybody to have.
Yeah, go check it out. It's really cool. No, but my point to that is that you're talking about Guitar World and shit like that.
Yeah.
And there is even like, that was the only boxing magazine that existed anymore.
Sure.
There used to be like KO magazine. There used to be Boxing International. There used to be there was probably 7 boxing magazines out there, and that's a niche sport, especially now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you'd think that one, oh man,
ooh,
quite a gurgle there,
buddy.
You'd think that like one would survive, and that would be it. But it just goes to show you just how expensive it is to produce that shit.
Oh yeah,
and the amount of places that actually sell that stuff,
right,
is so small. So I just gotta believe there's no pornography anymore.
Well, let's go get Rip stoned,
Sure.
and we'll have our wives take us to Barnes and Noble, and we'll just maybe that's going to be our next episode. We'll just post up with a field recorder,
Yeah.
and we'll go sit at Barnes and Noble, just rip stoned.
I thought you were gonna say we're gonna go hit every low rent looking convenience store on Aurora.
Do you have any porn in print?
I guarantee.
Do you have any print porn?
You know, the last time I went into a place that had like porno like that, they were like
It was a video store.
They were like cellophane packs in like.
So you get like 5.
You get like 5, and they're all like old. Like someone was like buying them and like putting them in these packs because
Yeah.
But that had to be 15 years ago. I don't even
Yeah.
know. Because
that's
up
funny.
and down Aurora, you used to be able, like, I would walk into the place and grab like a rock star.
Taboo video.
No, it's not even a video place. It was like, I'm going to stop by this random convenience store, go in
Oh.
and get like a rock star.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what the fuck? There's a magazine rack full of porno in here. And it was all old. Even for then, it was old.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like 2009 or something. And it's like
that's
shit from the
funny.
90s. You're like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
The Christmas edition of Playboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That is it. We've done did it.
We have done it, and we've sunken this ship.
Yeah, fucking right into the ground.
Yeah.
Just drove this shit right into the.
Right into Miller Bay.
I was gonna say ashore. We just ran it ashore. I don't know. That doesn't work. Anyways, thank you, buddy.
Hey, you're welcome.
Next weekend, or not, I don't even know. Not next weekend.
Well, our plan for You Blew It. We're gonna our next movie. If you want to watch it before we do the episode,
That's not a bad idea.
is going to be drum roll. Brrr, Friday the 13th.
part 3D.
Part 3D. Yeah. Because you got the whole box set.
I
and
do.
I'm so excited for this, by the way.
Yeah, I know you are. You're a big horror guy.
I love horror movies. Hence getting stoned in my teen years
And
and going to
Fangoria.
Barnes and Noble and just reading Fangoria for 4 hours. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. I've never seen the 3D version of this movie. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
All right, Dan.
I'm pretty stoked.
Well, hopefully we can figure it out. We're going to have a good month of horror movies because we're into October. So
Well,
all right.
I mean, by the time that one comes out, we're going to be at the end of October.
That's
I would
true.
imagine.
Well, you know what?
we'll try.
We'll keep going and
We'll give it a go. We'll give it the
We'll take it into Thanksgiving.
the old
We'll give-
college try.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Until next time.
All right.
Goodbye.